What's up?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yep.
in my new wider screen format, because I
Here we
moved
go again.
back and did all kinds of cool, crazy shit on my end.
You got a
What
white screen?
what are you using to film yourself?
I have
right now?
I have a Logitech like 1080
Like a
cam on a iRing, like a big 12-inch ring
Wow.
on a
Move
stand.
it on up.
Yeah, it used to be on the table, so sometimes I'd put my hand down and it would like
And it would
move
shake
the camera.
the whole.
And then I was just like, wait, why am I not using the stand? So I put the stand and pushed it back and then reframed. Dude, today I had the measuring tape and like a laser pointer. I was like lining things up,
Wow.
trying to get
That looks
everything
great, man. Good
perfectly
stuff.
framed. So we
I
can
would
get
just switch that Luke Cage poster, but that's just me.
Oh shit.
switch it. What do you mean? Whoa.
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
I put the shade already on Luke.
I'm kidding.
Immediate shade.
That's another episode.
You know, I expect this anti-blackness from other people.
Oh, wow.
Anti-blackness.
You're gonna go
What did
there,
I
right?
miss? I stopped listening to you guys for
Oh
like
my
30
God.
seconds, and you're all
Apparently
turning on
I'm
each other.
part
and
of the
shit.
KKK now.
Oh, shit.
Yo, remember the time? Wait, remember the time we were talking about animal cruelty for some reason, and we started talking about like birds and Skinny? Come on, we were having a
I
conversation.
was there?
No, I don't think you were there,
I
Brandon.
do vaguely remember this. Continue.
Yeah. We were like talking, and then all of a sudden, the conversation just turned into a random conversation about like animal cruelty and how we were wondering if birds. It was the duck and the puppy video
Yeah,
that
we
we
hooked each other.
Oh,
Oh
where they
yeah.
were, and then we were just like, "Yo, that's kind of weird." I was just like, "I expect animal cruelty." Like some weird conversation came out of it. Anyways, random.
Just some
That's-
business as usual in our crew.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Business. What up,
Yes,
Dev?
Yeah.
Vin? What up,
Yo,
DJ?
so what do I use to share this?
We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube.
But just the same deal. Okay, I thought there was like a link that you. Okay, never mind.
What's the shirt you're wearing there, Brian?
Yeah, I can't see.
I'm wearing a nerd stock. Shout outs
Oh, that's why he recognized the logo so quickly. I can't see the screen. It's too far away.
Oh, please. You need me to put my chest right into the camera, Mr. Producer?
Don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
Skinny's uncomfortable. What, you don't like when I perk them up? What is
Hey man, that might get us more views, you know what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
That's the man who's built like an Adonis who won't take his shirt off.
Listen. I'm in my mid post quarantine dad bod phase right now, so no one needs to see this at this point.
He's down to only 6 abs.
Yeah, 6 instead of 8. Oh no. The humanity of it all.
Damn, only got 6 abs.
On that note, though, I'm
Gotta wear a sweater.
3 weeks in on an easy, light 3 to 4 days a week schedule. Feeling good,
Nice.
About to hit it hard soon. It feels good though. It feels good. My gym is one of those gyms where like they limit the capacity, so they don't block you off. Because I know some gyms block you up to an hour, so you can only go in for an hour and you have to leave after because they have to take time to sanitize the space. But my gym is like limits to 50 people in the whole gym. You sanitize your stations. Make sure you wear your mask in between stations. But if you're in a place, you don't have to. So what I tend to do is just like I keep one bench for like half or more of my workout, or one squat rack for most of my workout. Depending on the day. Just easier that way. But it's nice it's honestly home workouts are not the same, man.
No.
Oh, I know, bud. I know.
Like who wants to get out of their bed or their office chair to do push-ups and shit? But it was a hustle for a lot of personal trainers, though.
Yeah,
the video conferencing training.
I used to. It was so weird when quarantine started. I'd like down the street. I'd walk by this house, and all you heard was like, "Okay, now raise your arms. Now do handstand, do whatever." And it was like, 2 days in a row. So it was like some dude who must have been a trainer who was just doing it from his house on his webcam, and you could just hear all his instructions. It was, but it was. I think it was a big hustle for everyone who's like.
For sure. I wish honestly I wanted to do it myself, but I just couldn't bring myself because I feel like it's fraud. I'm like, there's nothing really happening in this session right now.
You're guiding them, man.
Yeah, I guess so. It definitely was a distraction for some people, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, the important thing would have been doing that and combining it with healthy eating habits. So if you were actually giving them like a nutritional kind of menu that they could follow along to, that would have been combined and it would be worth it. But I agree.
100%.
It was pretty hard. Like I tried watching one of those videos once and I was just like, this homeboy's like, like Toby, 8-pack, like arms like Hercules, combined with Conan, combined with whoever else. And it's like doing all this workout, and it's like one-handed push-up, upside down handstand thing, and I'm like,
God.
yeah, this is supposed to be, entry-level workout. Thanks.
Yeah, it's true. They're like, I hate those too. They're like, you could do this. Anyone could do this at home. And it's like the most awkward, like hard to do, like body weight exercise.
My 250-pound fat ass is gonna flip upside down with one-handed push-up. Yeah, like break a fucking bone, maybe you. That's the thing that makes me so mad when I see it, and I'm thinking I'm gonna just end up breaking something doing that. Why are you trying to get me to do this, sir?
There's a dude at my gym that just like comes there to do like handstand push-ups, and I was like, yeah, you can do this at home.
Yeah,
like,
that's interesting.
Why are you here?
You know what? That's an interesting point you bring up. I used to say the same thing, but it's the same concept that I realized. I thought I could do home workouts. There are things that I could do at home that I normally do at the gym that don't require weights. But I think just leaving your house is the thing, right? Yeah, but I get it. Hence, if that's all he does, though, then
he like mostly that's mostly what he does. And I was like, you do this every day? But I can't say shit because the dude's ripped. And I was like, maybe I just need to start.
There actually is this one girl at my old gym, same thing. You used to just come in and you just see her in her spot just doing her calisthenics, like body weight stuff. And I'm just like, I mean, you don't just pick up a whole gym floor to do this. You could have done this at home, man. Yeah. But hey, who are we to say? The gym is for everybody, right?
There you go.
Yeah, sorry, we're not gatekeeping. You're watching this and you felt seen right now. We're teasing you. You take that back. You get right into that gym and you cry in the shower afterwards. All the normal people. There you go.
Nope.
It's a crazy time, guys. That's essentially what we've been saying from day one, and it's going to continue till we all figure out how to survive or die from COVID. Whatever.
Do you guys feel like it feels a little bit more normal in certain areas now?
No, it feels worse.
Really?
Normal in what way?
Like just in terms of
the way people act?
Yeah.
I don't
compared to like April, May.
For me, I live in the Plateau, and Plateau was like one of the areas in Montreal that was doing the worst. Yeah. Because people didn't give a shit, and they still don't give a shit. So it hasn't changed.
Yeah, Plateau is a party central, though.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Anyone outside of Montreal, the Plateau is this area that became really popular because I won't give you the whole history of the street, even though I know it. But it's a street. Really? Yeah, I did an urban planning class for Montreal, so I learned why the Boulevard Saint Laurent is like the most popular street, and why Westmount is what it is. What Outremont is, other mountain for the French, because they wanted to show the English we got money too, bitches. So they went on the other side of the mountain and they named it Outremont to show off. This whole history is hilarious when you read it. But anyways, the Boulevard is this huge main thoroughway of Montreal. It cuts the city in half and it goes straight all the way north, all the way from the bottom from the old port. And there's a certain part of it past above Sherbrooke, which is another major artery of the city, that is very much like the arts and like culture.
Where all the hipsters hang out.
Yeah.
But before, is someone playing our voices on like out loud, or I hear an echo?
So do I. I'm not though.
That's why I just muted myself to see if it was me. It wasn't me.
Okay.
I don't hear it. Is it me? But I have earphones in. I don't know how to.
Yeah, it's okay. I only heard it when Brian was speaking. Actually, I hear it now when I speak.
All right.
I think it's.
How do I fix that?
This is tittillating content for people.
It was just making it hard for me to catch the end of what you were saying.
Well, will they hear it? Because I don't.
I
we
don't know.
started this conversation on your titties, and now we ended on titty lady.
Yeah.
Full circle.
It all comes
Turn
around.
your head away, 'cause I'm gonna do the thing again that makes you uncomfortable.
Hey, man. Work it.
Turns off his screen. That's great.
Yeah, but Brandon, how you been, buddy? I have it right here on the. We were supposed to talk to you and catch up with you as we always do. Your best friend has a trailer out. Dune, Denis Villeneuve, your top 10 buddy.
Oh yeah, my buddy on that list. Oh yeah, man. We were at
top 10 Montreal directors. Brandon over here and Denis Villeneuve, same list, same pedigree, same pedigree.
Same everything, same body of work.
When they look in the mirror, when you look in the mirror, you see Denis, and when he
that's it. I've taught him like every single thing he knows.
Jokes
aside, me in his life. So shout out to quick. I call him D, by the way. D.
I call him D. Jokes aside, you saw the trailer for Dune today, everyone?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
I
Yo, pull it skinny. Watch it right now while we're talking.
Yeah, I don't know what Dune. I don't care Dune. You know what I mean?
Dune was supposed to... Go ahead. No.
Guess first, man. My bad.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I watched the documentary on I'm gonna butcher his name, and I'm so sorry. Jarodowski's Dune.
Yeah,
you guys hear about that? Yeah. So he won. No, what are you saying? Yes, just to satisfy.
Yeah, I was just
okay. Wait.
Apologies.
I will Google the name. Anyways, they were supposed to make he was supposed to make a Dune years ago, and it was supposedly supposed to be bigger than Star Wars ever was. And like they created a documentary on all the stuff that he had created, all the drawings and all the layout and the script and stuff, and it looked insane, but it was so insane that no one wanted to touch it. So I think for a long time people wanted that movie to
can I ask a question
now?
Can I ask a question coming from an outsider who hasn't watched it yet? What is Dune?
Don't ask me.
Dune is a book series. It's a sci-fi book series from back in the day. It's considered one of the more prominent sci-fi pieces of literature. And they made a movie series back in '84 with Patrick Stewart. Sting was in it. Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks. There's like a whole bunch of people in it. I tried to understand the story from snippets that I've read, and every time I read it, I truly do not understand what I'm reading. So I was just like, cool, I'm just going to wait till the movie comes out and see what that means. Because I really, like, it's something about spice. Like, there's a planet, and that planet has this thing, spice melange, I think. I don't know. If you guys are listening and you guys know this shit, please, by all means, jump in the comments and let us know where we're completely missing.
I just feel like we have to talk about it because it's the big news of the day, but I was never into Dune. And
yeah. This is actually more a shout out to Jaws D, because remember when Jaws D kept talking about it and we're like, announced casting, and we're like, remember the time he wasn't on the show? We're like, we announced casting. We're like, this one's for Jaws because none of us give a fuck.
We named it along the lines of nobody gives a fuck about Dune.
So like,
does anyone know anything about? The only thing I know about that is that some people have blue eyes, and it's important.
Yeah, they glow or some shit.
Yeah. And the spice stuff is important because it can help people travel through space without moving, but there's only one planet that has the spice stuff, and the father of Timothy Chalamet, whatever, his dad, which is I think Oscar Isaac is playing the dad, is like the one who's trying to conquer that planet because it's going to make him wealthy. This is what I think I understand. I am quite possibly 100% wrong, and people listening to this are probably like, please stop talking.
You say spice? What's that thing they use in Star Trek Discovery to travel?
They use the fungus, the fungi.
Yeah, what's it called?
The spores.
Spores. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
never mind.
And it's connected through the Mitocellin network or whatever. Essentially, that Star Trek Discovery is using fungus spores the way that the planet Earth is set up. Like, I didn't know. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I found this out the other day that like when a tree falls in the forest,
nobody hears it.
Nobody hears it. But the fungus finds out.
Can hear it.
The fungus can hear it, and what the fungus does is through the network, they're like, "Oh, fresh dead meat, let's get it, boys!" And that's why fungus grows on those trees, because it knows through the network that there's a spot where they can grow spores and stuff.
That's crazy.
That's
Plants
dope.
are nuts. This is like a weird sidebar, but I had watched something the other day, or I read something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like about this one of those coral reef plants that if you were to take a piece of the coral reef plant and like grow it in your house, it would still sprout at the same time as every other plant around the world, and they never sprout at the same time. Like every year is never the same time.
That's
but somehow they found a way to communicate with each other and do it all at the same time, no matter when it is. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
It's
That's crazy.
great. And scientists have yet to figure out how the fuck they're doing this.
Yeah,
dude,
plants are nuts, bro.
You know what's crazy about that? That just makes me think that there are, like, you know how in sci-fi they always talk about how there's the force or a network, or there's something that connects everything. Those planets are tapped into that thing somehow.
Exactly.
In a way that no one
else can understand. Exactly.
They're on a specific clock.
Yeah.
And that's why they'll take over the planet. And COVID was is an inside job.
Yep.
Yeah. That's great.
You heard it here first.
I like the link. I like the link. Man, yeah, plants are nuts. Like, we just started growing more this year in our garden, and like one day you'll look at the plant, it's like 3 feet tall. Literally the next day it's like 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's like, how? Like, what's the? It's insane. Yeah. It's kind of cool to grow your own stuff too.
Yeah, I the first time this summer I started doing that, I feel like a grown man. I have tomatoes and peppers.
Yeah. I think we all had time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If you asked me last year, would I be like even concerned about one plant in my garden? I'd be like, nah, I cut them all down. Like,
yeah,
what do you mean?
exactly.
It's
all
crazy.
You guys start growing watermelon and shit.
Say what?
You have space for watermelon?
Space, please. I got like 4 going, and cantaloupe.
What? Wow.
Don't you worry. That's old McDonald's over here. That's how. Don't worry.
Wow. I'm here growing fucking cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly. I like and peppers. He's just like, nah, nigga, I got 4.
I got that watermelon.
I got that cantaloupe.
Yeah.
I just got the small stuff like the green beans and the cucumbers and shit.
That for some reason just made me think of like, if somehow the world like turns into a place where like money is no longer relevant, we go back to like selling like furs and like vegetables. Like, what will rappers rap about? Will they rap like I got the fucking
best tangent I've ever heard.
Yo, no, but no lie, and it's funny you say this, but I legit thought this. Okay, see the whole like Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that that's happening. I thought this in the sense that like, what happens to rappers if the movement wins? Because you can't go back to talking about shooting and gangster and money. Like, all that stuff becomes irrelevant because it falls against the movement, right? The whole reason for rap is oppression, right? The whole hip hop movement comes from suffering.
Yeah.
I would say, I definitely hear the echo now. I would say that what the oppression part coming in at the beginning is what it was about, but like Lil Wayne and Eminem and Drake are not rapping about oppression. You know what I mean?
But what are you gonna rap about? I got the same kind of beans as my neighbor because we all equal. You know, like,
got a big ass watermelon.
But so does my neighbor because we're equal.
Rappers always like
respect for all races. We're all on the same level.
Rappers always like bragging, so they're just gonna brag about more or less like, you know, I mean, if you got a farm, I got some fruit. Look what I did. You guys are talking about cherry tomatoes. I got watermelon. There you go.
That's hilarious. See, that's what I'm saying.
Whose crop is bigger?
Exactly.
Skinny,
you know what?
Already rhymes.
You know what's funny? It reminded me of like when we were younger, one of my friends, we were like out somewhere drinking, and he turns to me completely fucking serious, and he's like, look, if I ever have a child, one day I'm gonna buy a gun, I'm gonna drive around as he's walking home from school and start shooting at him So he has something to rap about.
Whoa. Whoa.
I was like, what the fuck?
You might need a friend, homie.
He's like, I need to give him something to rap about. So there you go. Just like,
Wait, is your buddy? Was he an aspiring rapper at some point?
we all were, man.
Okay. He's like, this is what was missing from my life.
Exactly.
The hood experience.
Exactly.
I'm gonna give it to my kid.
Yeah.
Like, grows up in Laval in like a fucking pretty good neighborhood.
Tomato and watermelon. Hell yeah.
You always got something to rap about, man.
Yeah.
That's so true. It honestly, that's what it comes down to, right? Like, if you're not in that environment, because I love gangster rap, I love a lot of rap like that, where it's like hardcore and you really feel what the person is going through. But then I look on mine, I'm like, if I ever wanted to become one, like, I can't rap about those same experiences that I feel, right? Because they're not, and I don't know if my experiences will be the same. I went to a school and it was mostly white kids. And, you know what I mean?
Hanging out at Abbott. Playing my
You know what? I always felt the same way, and then I started listening to Childish Gambino when he came out, and like he always rapped, and I related to him so much because the stuff he used to rap about was honestly it was that stuff was like going to school, being the only black kid, not fitting in, not feeling black enough, and all those things, and I was like,
that's what camp was about.
Yeah, this is why you and I used to butt heads about him at the beginning.
I know, yeah. Because you don't have taste. That's the problem, you know.
Award-winning. I don't have any taste.
I'm playing.
But wait, why is that, Brian?
Because when he first started, he was always talking about how Gambino would talk about like those aspects of his life, being the only black kid and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had problems with it because when I would listen to it, I would hear those tracks, but then like 4 tracks later, he's talking about getting blowjobs from Asian girls, and then
I hated those songs. I'm with you, Brian.
Yeah, but here's
he's like, I have a screwdriver sleeping on the bed with a screwdriver under the pillow.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you talking? How are you going from Asian blowjobs to screwdriver under the pillow? Only black white school. I was like, come on, man.
Like, how can you? But those are all things he experienced. That's just his life. Like, I don't like one day maybe he's getting a blowjob and then an hour later he's got to save his life by stabbing him with a screwdriver.
He also went through kind of, and you'll see it in his first 3 like mainstream sort of outputs, where he went through like a weird personality, like trying to find himself in those first 3 albums. Yeah. He sounded like Wayne a lot at one point. Yeah.
He loved
it was insane. I couldn't tell him apart at one point.
Yeah, he admits that. Yeah.
What did it for me was Freaks and Geeks. Remember that that song? And I was like, oh, see, he has something here. Because he has such a vast education, and his I think his foray in the movie acting industry and the things he knows started to come out in that song especially, and I was like, oh, that's what you should rap about. The thing that actually interests you, that you can speak to, not the hiding your screwdriver under the thing, or even talking about getting blowjobs from an Asian girl because you think that's what people want to hear. But he was also really good. Like, that sounds to me like a freestyle he did too at one point, because he used to freestyle a lot, and that sounds like a line from just a freestyle, though. So I don't know.
That line is on one of his tracks on his first album. Because when I went to see his first show, that time where I still didn't respect him, and I'm at the show,
and you met him,
and he raps that line, and I'm like, and all these like bros in the crowd started like cheering, and I was like, yo, dude, like, what is going on?
But why didn't you? Okay, see, that's the hard part. That's the part I'm talking about the respect. It's hard to get respect if you're not talking about beating someone up or jacking someone, or like how you were like. That
wasn't it for me. It wasn't that. My issue with him at the beginning, and I said this to Brandon when we used to have the conversation, is he sounded like, you know how Jay-Z says that line about Nas? Is it Uchi Wally, or is it one king or whatever? Like, if you're a rapper and you're saying that you're standing for one thing, and then your next song is talking about girls bending over and stuff, I'm like, I'm just trying to see what your lane is, and that's okay. If Childish Gambino actually went through all these things, had these experiences in his life, dealt with a lot of stuff, that's fine. But it was hard for me seeing him coming as an actor and a comedic writer to take that path seriously.
How'd you
because
feel about Drake then?
But
I didn't like Drake at the begining. I remember, dude, I barely like Drake now. You guys get mad at me every time we talk about Drake. I remember I was in a group the other day and someone put Drake, Jay-Z, J. Cole, and someone Chris Brown, and they're like, one has to go.
What? Chris Brown?
Oh, that's a really random.
That's a weird,
really easy one.
Yeah.
But
I'm already going. It has to go. Oh, one of these things is not like the others.
Yeah,
it's R&B.
I jokingly wrote Drake because I was just like, just get him out of like. Obviously, just like Skinny's reaction, just to troll people. Full on.
Why do you hate our Canadian pride? Why?
No. You know why? You know why I don't like calling him Canadian pride? Because Drake didn't start off claiming Canada.
Yeah, he did.
He had no choice but to start off claiming Canada.
I'm telling you, 2006, I heard him do the interview on stage.
Okay. He didn't claim Canada, but
in Atlanta, repping Atlanta. I was like, why is this kid talking about Atlanta? He's from Toronto.
Yeah.
He was repping Houston and Atlanta, and there's a reason. Houston, he has his dad's connections there. He kind of grew up there. I'm sure certain sound summers. Right. And then Atlanta was where a lot of the music was happening at the time, including the people he runs with now, like the
Brian knows this. We don't need to explain it to him. Brian,
yeah.
Brian knows.
But I'm just saying, when you're starting off your career as a Canadian rapper and you're just bragging about your connection to Atlanta, Houston, and how Diddy wanted,
it wasn't cool to talk about Canada.
Yeah, but how
He's
would
gonna
he
talk guys, let me take this.
turn around. Whoa.
How,
Why is it cool for him?
hey, you had your turn. Let's talk.
Brian.
You had your
Let's
turn.
get you talk. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Brian, is he gonna brag about how he's friends with Mocha only?
or classified?
You guys
Do you
are jerks.
If we're gonna make that argument, do you want to brag about being friends with Socrates, one of the more recognized Canadian rapper who worked with Method Man and Redman? Do you want to brag about how he did songs with him? No, let's not. Imagine brag about a guy who's actually worked with big time rappers in the States on number one selling tracks, number one hip hop.
Mm-hmm. But let me ask you.
Nobody gives a fuck about them in the States.
Canadians just became cool.
Drake made them cool.
Socrates is a great artist. I'm not taking away from Socrates at all. But Drake has gone where he wants to get to. He could not mention Socrates or Chaos because people would be like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
Or Kanon.
Or Kanon. Fucking Kanon.
But also,
he wasn't naming any of the other guys. He was
because okay.
Sign him.
He saw what those guys that came before him did. They claimed Canada and they got put in a box, right? He's like, well, in order for me to break Canada out this box, I need to show the world that we can be different. We can do other kinds of music, not just this whatever Canadian sound was. It was very Jamaican influenced then too.
Are we still talking about how Drake still does that fake path?
But
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Thank you, Brandon. Let's admit this is knowledge of fake pato for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into the fake pato after if you want. But all I'm saying is he found a door and he figured out a way to get through it. And then once he got through, it's like he opened the window and it's like Canada.
Who said it? I don't know who the first person to say it. First time I heard it was J. Cole. Was you played a game to change the game. But that's what he had to do. Sometimes you have to infiltrate, and then once you get big enough,
you have to infiltrate to dominate. I know.
Yeah, but that's it's hard. And honestly, who knows if that was even? But hold on. But who knows?
Are we trying to prove to me that what Drake did is influential? Because I know that.
He's a Canadian icon, bro.
I'm not denying that. I'm talking about when he started.
You wanted to come out the gate and the thing is, it might not also be his choice. Like it could be the people around. Like, how are you going to market this Canadian kid from Degrassi?
Yo, he had a mountain.
My dad's from Atlanta. Let's do that.
He had a mountain. He had a mountain to overcome in terms of like sellability, bro.
No. Here's the thing. When I first started talking to my friends about Drake, they were all like, "Oh, the guy from Degrassi." I was just like, "Yeah." He already had an built-in fan base of kids in the States.
That was not a fan base, bro. Jimmy, wheelchair was a fifth like sixth character.
We're gonna have a real conversation. If we're not, then I'll back out and we just go on it. Because you're telling me Drake as an actor on a television show that was on reruns regularly on Saturdays, that
Yeah,
built
no clout.
and was so popular that he's a world recognized character, turns to a rapper, still has the same face, comes out, and that wasn't an influence on what he was
Degrassi
It really
thing,
wasn't.
Yo,
That
people
you think
started throwing the Degrassi thing out at him after he got a name for himself. They're like, oh, that kid from Degrassi's rapping?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, ooh, that kid from Degrassi's rapping. It was the other side of it, the negative side of it.
I think your views are a little skewed because we're from Montreal in Canada, that we know about Degrassi and it was big.
I'm talking about talking to my American friends about Degrassi.
Okay, but do you think
this? I didn't think it mattered in the States.
Hold on. The same way that you had a hard time liking Childish Gambino was the same way that Drake being Jimmy on Degrassi, it wasn't helping his image. People were like, "Oh shit, the kid from Degrassi listens to his fucking rap album." No,
okay,
it doesn't help, and I'm sure he spoke about that many times.
You're saying the kid from Degrassi drops a track, and you, out of curiosity, don't click play?
No, I didn't.
Not if you don't know about the kid from Degrassi.
I didn't. Matter of fact, the first Drake song I heard was when he teamed up with Trey Songz. That was the first Drake song I heard.
That was the first
Replacement Girl or something like that.
Main Girl or something like that.
Replacement, yeah, something like. And I was like, oh wait,
yeah,
Trey Songz. Oh, that kid from. And I was like, let me go
that,
listen.
That's us.
It doesn't help.
But you're telling
that's Americans.
No, I'm talking about the suburb kids who see Degrassi and see this kid and now go, the kid from Degrassi is rapping for real now? I remember when he did that rap on the show. Play.
Let's get Drake on the show and ask him this question. How he feels about how he was received at the beginning. I don't think anyone's ever asked him that question.
Guys, because
dude, he has a song called Started from the Bottom. He thinks he started at the bottom.
Well, it depends what your definition of the bottom is.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that him coming from Degrassi, it wasn't like, I don't know what to compare what show would be, but him coming from Degrassi does not help. For you to become a rapper and be well respected and hang with Lil Wayne.
All I'm saying is
it doesn't help.
It doesn't add up.
I got one thing to say. Visibility. I'm not saying it gave him clout. I'm saying it gave him visibility and access to a demographic that other people going into hip hop would not have had, and that's what I think helped him.
You know what? I understand that it does get a few eyes to see your shit at the beginning,
but we're talking 300
but
million.
main people. But hold on a second. But a lot of people, because I remember when Drake first came out. Yeah. When you first play that song, you're going in with skepticism. You're like, this kid from Degrassi, like, I'm not, and you won't even give him the time of day. You're like, this is probably shit. Like, a lot of people did not like, I mean, in my circle, and people that I know didn't like Drake because they were like, this kid from Degrassi, why is he rapping? Like,
and he's singing? Wow, he's
that it doesn't help. It will get people to come in, but they're going to be like, fuck that. Like, I'm not going to, he has
no doubt. 2006, comes to Montreal, performs at Le Social across from Concordia, empty venue. I know. I was there. I've seen the situation. I know that in most demographics, he wasn't doing well. But there's also times where he was going to the States and malls were still having huge crowds. And this is early on. This isn't later after his mixtapes. This is when he was first starting. There were still people showing up for some of these signing things. And because the whole idea of he still had an interest from the fact that he had been on a television show. Americans like fame. It doesn't matter what you were famous for.
I agree to disagree. I understand what you're saying. I understand that it gets people out, but it doesn't help your cause that you come from Degrassi.
Yeah,
and you're rapping and hanging with Lil Wayne, who was like one of the hottest rappers around, and the whole Young Money crew.
Lil Wayne is the person that actually got him on. We know that. I'm not.
It took him a while. Did you actually hear that Akon had first look at Drake?
Yeah.
Akon, Diddy, and Lil Wayne. I know.
Yeah. But Akon said he didn't sign him because Drake sounded like Eminem back then. That's what Akon said. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, Brian, I know you can appreciate this. How do you feel about the MF Doom move he pulled in that latest video he released?
MF what? Sorry?
That's an MF Doom move that he just pulled in that video that he put out for Popstar.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, with Bieber?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your boy Doom's move.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
your boy
he
Doom.
does that all- Doom has done concerts where he doesn't show up and has said completely different person,
Yeah.
and that shit is nasty.
That's hilarious.
Exactly.
I
But
thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool video, man.
Yeah.
And that actually fit.
Did you ever see when Hannibal Buress came out as Doom once?
yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I've seen that one.
It was hilarious.
I wouldn't go see a Doom concert for that reason.
Dude, I know a lot of people who wouldn't go see Doom because of that. There was a whole part where he couldn't sell tickets because everyone's like, "Well, I don't think he's going to show up. He's going to send a."
This motherfucker thinks he's Banksy or something.
Yeah. All right. Now we got to turn to Dave. Dave, what's your take on Drake?
Yeah, poor Dave. Dave this whole time was like, "Why the fuck am I here?"
Listen, while you guys were going on, I was watching Dave's
Me
tape.
too. I was watching Dave too.
He was like, I don't care about this.
He's like, yeah.
So I agree with Brian. I don't really like Drake. Like,
That was. I want to make that
was beyond the point.
like Drake.
Big surprise, Dave. Big surprise.
Surprise, Dave.
That was so great. I don't really like.
No. I want to hear why. Dave, without humping Brian's back, why don't you like Drake?
I've just never really liked his music.
For reasons of?
Objectively speaking, because I listen to a broad range of
I'll say
genres.
this.
I could tell you what sounds good and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying,
you-
I'm not saying that the guy doesn't have catchy tunes to appease the masses. I'm not saying that. I'm saying my personal likes, I am more of a punk rock alternative person, but I
You
do
listen to
like
hip hop, yeah.
rap
you
and
listen to
hip hop and stuff. I do have that, but his stuff
it's too
just
far
sounds
away.
Like, yeah, it sounds like what radio wants.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Okay.
Yeah.
But
But
you
if
know
you're
about the stuff, radio doesn't know what it wants till they hears what it wants.
Dave right there has said the one thing that is 100% marketing fact, that at the end of the day, when it comes to it, Justin Bieber, Drake, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, there's like a list of 10 artists, and everyone always says, every meeting I'm in, everything, the conversation is just like, they make the pop that people like to listen to. They don't care the overall image that those artists have, those like 10 artists who are always in the top 40.
Yeah.
They could put out like Kanye did, a Scoopity Poop, as long as the beat matches to what people like to listen to. That's the most important thing. So funny enough, I was bugging you. I was bugging you, Dave, because I didn't think you cared, but that's a very good point you made.
It is. But what's so annoying about that is that I feel like they created the sound that they want people to listen to. You know what I mean? Like the radio, it's not like people like to listen to that, as they force fed it for so long that people were like, "Oh yeah, I do like that. Yeah, and then that's what people love now.
Oh, 100%.
But I also say, like, I've only really heard mainly stuff from the radio for him, so I've not heard of any. Like the probably most likely be good songs, the ones that people are more attracted to. But like I don't listen to pop. Like, I don't like radio. Like, when Brian was naming Taylor Swift and Bieber and all that, like, I generally don't like that type of music. Not saying they don't have any good songs, but it is a genre, and that genre is like, man.
I'm on the same boat as you in terms of the mainstream. The mainstream itself can sound the same for a long time after a while, right? So I come in and out of mainstream. But what an artist like Drake does, what I like is that he goes outside of the mainstream too. Yeah. Right. He still collaborates with people who are on the up and coming. So he has different sounds. And to your little statement you made earlier about the fake, quote unquote, fake patois, he does that when he meets a different. What's that?
Everyone says that about him, though. I mean, we're not making that up. We all know that's a thing he does. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
It's a Scarborough thing, though.
Yeah,
that was.
I know.
Okay.
It's the region. Yo, if I went there and stayed there for a couple of years, I'll probably come out sounding like that a little bit. You know what I mean?
I really hope you don't.
You don't, bro. Hope you don't. Hope you don't.
I'd never move this car.
It's a ting. It's a ting, bro.
Doing that is like Madonna going to England and spending most of her life in the States and being from New Jersey and then being in England for 4 years and being like, I mean, I'm British now. No, Madonna. Get the fuck out of here with your face.
Listen, you can be what you want to be at the end of the day, whatever works for you, right? Like Johnny Depp has sounded like a drunken British guy for I don't know how many years now.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's basing
I thought
that
he was British. Man.
He's Canadian.
I when I was younger, I was like, I thought he was British, and I was like, I don't know what his accent is, but it sounds kind of British to me.
Skinny, you look confused.
Yeah.
I'm content. I'm
content with where our conversation is.
I'm neither here nor there. I have a different opinion on pop music. I believe pop music is obviously chosen to be the sound of what everybody likes, but it's also to fit a certain ear. Dave, I'm looking at you. That's why, and it's not for you necessarily, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
I like Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, I don't mind. I like all pop music because I feel like at a certain different day or time, there's a time for all of it. That's why it's on the radio, because there's a time for it.
Yeah.
Whether I feel like certain people have fit the mold more than others, has created his own lane for his sound to a certain degree.
Yeah.
While also using a formula that has worked in the past. I feel like basically his type of music, if you're gonna like his pop, you're gonna kind of find a lane to like everybody else's pop, which includes the Eminems and the Kings of Leon and all those bands that have come before and whoever comes after. It's really just a formula that you have to get used to.
Yeah,
however,
go ahead.
However, in terms of Drake's whole, like, Brian's right. Whereas he did get the alley-oop from being Degrassi, but I feel like that alley-oop more or less came from us Canadians pushing him and Americans who were just getting Degrassi on Disney because it was recently that they got Degrassi. It wasn't like they didn't always have it. They kind of caught on and went with that. So we're all kind of right about this. That's where I got from this.
That's fair.
Thanks, man.
It was a team effort.
Yeah.
But I want
more
money then.
You want what?
Where's my OPM dividend check?
You don't get any of that here. Not here. Oh, man. You know what? Now that we're here.
Hey, Jake, I just want to remind you, I was hip hop music director for 10 years. So maybe
Brian doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know. I mean,
maybe sit the fuck down, homie.
Yeah.
What are you talking to me?
Jay Grizz. He was talking to Jay Grizz.
Brian's a local.
What's up, guys?
Listen.
We got somebody from Vietnam jumping in. What time is it over there, dude?
It's 6:20 a.m.
Oh my god!
Wow!
But it's okay. I'm an early riser.
I love it, homie. Thank you so much for jumping in. We just had a huge ass long conversation about Drake. We were just about
really long useless conversation.
Yeah, it's crazy how Brian loves Drake so much.
I know, right? Jeez, we couldn't get him off that topic. It was insane.
Favorite artist. But before we get into Tenet, I just want to play a quick promo that we have here for the Morning Detour. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Yo, this setup's legit, man.
We got commercials and everything now, Brandon.
What happened?
Getting that ad money, but not really, not yet.
That's really cool, man. It really looks.
We're showing our potential. We're showing our potential. Yeah, folks. We, I should put the banner up because I feel like this conversation might get some people upset, might give too much away. There's going to be a lot discussed. So once again, as we did last week, we are discussing Tenet. You have been warned. If you have not seen the film or do not want spoilers, I suggest that you step away or listen to this episode later. Once you've seen it. Oh, skinny. There's a lot to discuss. I feel like Toby I want to let you take the lead because you brought up a whole bunch of stuff that I thought was really cool last week. After the show, we had a long conversation, and you blew my mind with some of the stuff that you brought up. I know Akil, you had some comments about the score. I'm gonna say Akil G, so that Skinny doesn't get confused when I say.
Wait, huh? Wait, what'd you
Oh, we
say?
got to.
Akil G.
Your name?
His name's Akil G.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Akil's represent. But yeah, so
Okay.
Toby, hit us. Let's start.
Okay, everybody saw Tenet, right? Everybody here right now saw Tenet.
I think I did. I don't know.
So I wanted to talk about this last week because there's just so many things after seeing it that I wanted to kind of just talk to these guys about as usual and just kind of like it's all speculation at this point where you watch a Christopher Nolan movie, you kind of have to go back and watch like 3, 4, 5, 6 times just to understand like the first 10 or 15 minutes sometimes. And speaking of Tenet and minutes, if you guys didn't know, Tenet is a combination of 10 minutes forward and 10 minutes backwards.
Oh, is that
Okay, so when they set their
Adrenaline, I can't believe.
so 10 and then 10 backwards, right?
Down too with your fucking
So when they go at the end and they set their timer, that's to 10 minutes. That's the title of the movie, like 10 forward, and the other person's going 10 minutes back.
Oh my god.
That's the first thing.
Doesn't want any spoilers. I'm done with you, Brian.
Okay. And the word Tenet, if
Yeah.
you actually, I don't know if you guys actually know. Look, I did a lot of friggin' research after this.
I don't say.
But there is something called the Sador Square. So if you remember, the main villain in the movie, his last name was Sador, Sator. I'll actually post this here. I don't know if you can actually share this or screen share it. Doc.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah. So there's something called a Sador Square. You guys can actually click on that link as well. Where if you look in the square, it says Sador at the top. It says Arepo, Tenet, Opera, Rhodes. So Christopher Nolan wrote this movie based on the Sador Square. The mastermind's name is Sador, right? Rhodes is the port that they all went to, the free port. If you look at the Sador Square, there's the word Tenet in the middle. The fourth one is Opera. That's where everything went down, was in the opera.
Wow.
Right? So he literally already he looked at a Sador Square and went, how could I write a movie based on this, pretty much? Where
Jesus
everything
Like we all do. We're all just like, let's look at a bunch of fucking words and make a great fucking movie out of it.
So just by definition, the Sador Square or Rhodes Square is a word square containing a 5-word Latin palindrome. So he literally already went into, I don't know how he wrote this movie. I'm not going to lie. He saw this, did some shrooms, and just wrote the first things that came to mind, because this is insanity when you look at the depth and the level of like thought that went into everything in this movie. Now, starting from the beginning, we're introduced to John David Washington's character going on a mission in the opera, and things kind of go awry. They're trying to save someone who's been sort of found out by another faction. What did you guys think about that first like opening scene? You're still looking at the Sador Square, aren't you?
I mean, it was interesting at first. I mean, it was a nice start off point to just put you right into like the chaos of everything.
Yeah,
and figure out what's happening. It was a good intro to get you like, okay, what's going on here.
I
And
like
it felt very Batman, Dark Knight type.
Yes.
the whole type of like having a secret agent in the like situation. No one can really trust anyone. I like when he does stuff like that. That you know, that's Nolan in his bag, because you can never trust anybody in those films. The sense that I get.
Yeah.
And I think for that opening, I was really excited because I was like, okay, we're still in this whole crazy world of Nolan that he likes to build, and we're seeing the similar tropes that he's used before. And I feel like using the word trope is insult to what he does, but for lack of a better word.
I like, to me, it was interesting right away when you see them in the van and like they're changing their patches or like deciding what patch to put on the suit. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I haven't really seen that.
Did you already think they were like he was part of this mission, inverted mission, or what? You know, like, did you already go in thinking this, like, he already is part of the organization?
I didn't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say that I did it knowing Nolan and the way he starts off stories and the way that stories usually go. I don't know if, like, it's more beneficial if we were along with him, we're with him along the ride kind of thing, like discovering this whole new world together. So rather than putting the audience in a world that's already like made up and you have to kind of figure your way through.
Yeah, he does a pretty good job of dropping you in, but the story follows a rational, reasonable plot that you don't feel like you missed anything, even though you just got dropped into the action.
Yeah. Like, when I started, I felt comfortable with the whole fact that, like, these guys seem to be working with these guys. There's a mission going on. I thought they were trying to kill someone. Then I realized, no, they're trying to save someone. I was like, cool. Then you go into the basement where they're having the conversation about using the different exit. I was like, okay, this team is working with this guy. You see that first piece where they're just like, this is unlike anything we've ever seen before. I was just like, okay, there's some weird stuff going on. Then I was a little concerned because I was just like, okay, is the protagonist character Denzel Jr. I'll put some respect on his name, John David, because he's done well. So But John David deciding to be the hero who goes back and tries to stop bombs, I was just like, I was like, oh, okay. I
thought that was the case too, because that was the reason he was going back in, was because he noticed they were setting up bombs. It's like, hey, before we finish this mission, I'm going to go back and collect all the bombs and defuse them somewhere else. I was like, oh, okay. So this whole thing, I still didn't know what was happening at that point. Actually, I was like, all right, cool. And then it was a quick flash, a quick moment. He was about to get beat down by someone, and something inverted, it looked like, came out of a hole. And the person who was trying to attack him dies, and then that's your first sort of clue as to something else happening. And then he gets kidnapped by these Russian guys who torture his partners, apparently, and quote unquote killed them. And then they're trying to get information out of him, but before they could, with the help of the other prisoner of war or whatever who he was, he took a cyanide pill and died. But then we find out that the cyanide pill that he took was a fake.
And everything was a test.
And that whole mission was a test.
Thank you.
I think that mission was a full test, because I think that mission, like him possibly sacrificing himself, is a test. But I think the mission is still the mission. Like, I think there was still a mission they needed to execute, because they asked the guy when he asked, "How's my team?" The team didn't make it. That team got killed.
So they were hoping he would go on this mission.
But what is so confusing is, why does he feel the need to test himself? Like, why is he? Because the person that's, from what I understood, the person that created this test is him from the future, right?
Right.
Am I wrong?
Pretty much.
I don't know. I think this is whichever, or well, I mean,
because
it is because the organization was Tenet. Remember that guy? That guy came to talk to him after he woke up from his coma and said, "Hey, the reason you were in a coma was because it was a test and blah, 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 and the secret organization is Tenet." Now, knowing what we know at the end about John David being the originator of Tenet means that he did, in fact, test himself.
Yeah.
But
Why?
you know why he had to test himself? Because the loop. He knows that he went through that, so he has to create that test.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's true.
It's a paradox.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a paradox. Okay. There's a lot of Yeah,
the whole movie is a paradox. He can't become the guy who starts Tenet without being the guy who went through the suicide to prove how loyal he is to be worthy to get into Tenet, so that in his head, Tenet is this above all type organization.
Okay, perfect. So now we're there.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
No, that's fine. It's just I just have to come. I just have to realize that it's a paradox, and there's just no. It's just a loop, and there's no saving that.
Yeah,
Shout
exactly.
Out to Mark.
Hey, Marky. Okay, so we're at that point where now he is part of Tenet. He's accepted this mission, and to help him on this mission to figure out what these. And instead of, I kind of like the fact also, as a side note, that they didn't call it a bomb. They just kept calling it the algorithm. But overall, we know that the pieces they're collecting are pieces to a bomb once you put it together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
pretty much. Anyway, so he needs help to figure out what these pieces of algorithms are. He hires Neil.
Yeah.
We don't know where he found Neil from. Was that explained? Because I kind of missed that.
No,
Neil
he's
is a
just weird.
connect. He reached out to one of his connects, and Neil was the person they sent to help him
Yeah.
do what he needed to do in India.
Okay, perfect.
Which,
So when he meets Neil, yeah.
But again, like we know with what we've seen at the end, and that's the thing. It's hard to talk about this movie in chronological order.
You
because
can.
all the pieces are set up from a future that you find out about at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That they've been going backwards. So Neil was meant to go meet up with him. That was necessary.
Exactly. So this whole movie, I went in hyper focused and sensitive to everything. I had my notepad. And there was a part in this movie where he sat down with Neil for the first time in that hotel, and he starts talking to him, and Neil orders his drink for him. Yeah. Boom, first clue. And I was like, why does he know his order? And then, but right as I'm asking myself that question, John David goes, "Oh, you do your research." He's like, "Well, yeah," kind of like brushes it off, like, "Yeah, I know you don't drink on the job or whatever." And I'm like, "But how? How does he know? Because he just met." Yeah.
The way he did it was really well too, because he said in our line of work, it's important.
Yeah.
So he really set it up as the type of thing where it's espionage based. Like
exactly.
We're in the espionage game. This is important. You find information about people. And I think one of the things that I like that Nolan did is he made John David's character, the protagonist, look really lost at first.
He was lost for a long time.
Every step along the way, and I think when we get to it, we'll talk about it more. But that moment when he realizes at the airport, the inverted airport moment, you guys know what I'm talking about. So when we get to it, we'll talk about it more. But I think that's the moment he really, really started to understand, like, oh, I see what game I'm playing.
Yeah. I'm already in this. We're gonna play it the right way kind of situation.
Yeah.
I forget exactly where we were actually. So we meet Neil. Okay, so then they go on a mission to India.
Yeah. Well, they're in India. Yeah.
They're in India, sorry. So they need to go on a mission to go, I guess, talk to the head of this organization who seems to be connected to the algorithm. They get there and they think it's the husband, but it turns out to be the wife who's the mastermind behind everything. Priya?
Yeah, at that point, do they know that it's an algorithm at that point? Or
they just know it's a piece of some device that probably a bomb at that point.
Yeah,
because true. Okay, because I'm just thinking about the first time he talks with the woman at who says the clipboard and a vest can get you in anywhere.
You know what? I skipped the part before he went to go see her.
We don't
talk.
It doesn't matter.
We kind of do because it ties into this. He meets that scientist lady, and I find a lot of people are just thrown into the movie too to just explain it and they're gone. And her role was just to explain the inversion and how the inversion works. Don't think about shooting it. Think about you're catching it kind of situation.
It's instinct. But he says it. It's just instinct.
Okay. This you understand? Watching this movie the whole time, I was just like, so look, I'm not trying to diss any. I will never like. I think the movie is so good, and I just didn't fully grasp everything. For me, what bothered me a bit about this is also how fast he understood and accepted that this world moves backwards. It was so quick that she was like, "Oh, you have to think, but you're catching." Oh, he's like, "All right, cool," because backwards, and we're done. And it's just like, for me, it was just like it happened so fast that there was no time. He was like, "Wait, hold on, let's stop everything." There's a fucking world where shit's moving backwards. Like,
yeah. I think we're led to believe that he lives in a world where he's
seen crazy stuff,
right?
Okay.
But you're right about that. His acceptance of this was quick. But you know what? I'm so used to it being not quick that I felt like when this happened, it was so refreshing that he just I just wanted to see what was next. It was kind of like same thing was like, okay, what else? It's already happening. I can't change this. Legit, this thing just came into my hand.
Yeah.
So it did happen.
Okay. I guess
up until that. real quick, up until that point, for everyone who saw it, how many of you saw it in theater?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all are
You guys
just
saw it in
cheaters.
theater? Okay, I didn't see it in theaters.
I
I watched it with headphones on, so I understood everything that was being said.
Yeah.
For you guys who saw it in theaters, because I watched it with headphones on, and even with headphones on, there are scenes specifically, and I guess Toby, you're right. It is good to discuss this scene. The specific scene where he talks to the woman and she's explaining stuff. The conversation where she's explaining to him how things work and they're going back and forth. That whole segment, I couldn't hear properly.
Yeah.
No,
I honestly thought it was just the theater that I was in that was having an issue with the sound, and I was like, I can't understand what's happening.
There were sometimes that it was done on purpose, but there was many times I feel that there was something weird with the audio, because I'm like,
that's why
there were some moments where it made sense, but there were some moments that didn't make sense at all. Like when they're talking through the glass, I understood why they did that, but
but still, you're supposed to still be able to hear. But is it true that they're re-releasing it with subtitles? Is that actually happening? I heard someone say that.
Well, I mean, eventually when the movie comes out,
I just want to ask Akil, because in Vietnam, what's the theater situation like, right? Because I'm picturing the theaters here with the Cineplex Odeon. I don't know how the theaters are in Vietnam. I don't know how the what was that?
There's like super top of the line, and I actually shelled out the big bucks for like this business class seating and surround system, where it's like 40 people in the theater. So it was as good as it could have gotten, better than I've experienced anywhere else. Okay. But yeah, my beef with that sound is it's not just that it was maybe badly designed in that way, because if everyone theaters worldwide are complaining in the same vein, it's also, it could be like maybe it's a little sensory overload from the dialogue or the way it's delivered, the way it's acted. So I was just blaming Nolan for
but I think everyone blamed Nolan because people had the same problem with Bane, right? Even when the trailer came out, they had to re-release another trailer because people were like, I don't understand what he's saying.
Unfortunately, though, the reason why the sound is this messed up on Tenet is because of COVID and the fact that they didn't get a chance. He didn't. What's his name again? Goranson didn't get a chance to go. Ludwig, didn't get it. Was it Ludwig?
He did the music. Ludwig does the. I don't know if he did the sound mixing of dialogue. Ludwig does the music, the score.
But the score was the reason we couldn't hear anything.
But I think what Brandon's saying, the person who did the sound mix with the score would have caught that. Like Ludwig Göransson isn't the one designing the balance between vocal.
Yeah, exactly. He creates the score, but someone sound mixes it, which
and
I don't think is him.
Is in the film. That person, I feel like either, and that's probably Toby, what you're saying. That person sounds like they may not have had a chance to tackle that fully. But I feel like they should have been able with a home.
Interesting. You know what? The same thing happened when Interstellar came out too. There was some complaints about the sound then too. So I don't know. Maybe he needs new sound engineers on his crew.
Because I mean, like
it was hard. It was hard to really hear fully. You're right. I really had to and if I couldn't hear it, I had to make sure I saw everything that was happening.
Yeah, which is hard in a movie that's full of exposition. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was saying maybe that's a conscious effort of his. If this is a pattern you're seeing in his movies, that's obviously his style to disorient the audience deliberately and say maybe he's being, he's being some kind of way about having an effect on you.
The pace of the film, that's for sure as well. Like with that mixed with like how fast you were getting information, it was hard to keep up.
Yeah, because when I started watching the movie, when it got to the point with Priya, like we were talking about just before we jumped back. The Priya conversation.
we went backwards.
Reverse.
Sorry, go ahead.
We did it.
But the part with Priya is exactly where, because I watched it without headphones until I got to the Priya part. Then my partner and I were just like, I understood, because the Priya conversation is very important. It explains who to go after, who to talk to, who to go after. It's the first time you see the power of the hand gesture and mentioning Tenet in a dangerous situation. Because, when you meet the scientist the first time, he's alone with her. What's she going to do? Pull an alarm? We've seen how he can handle himself. He's fine. But now we're in a building. Yes, Pattinson Neil took care of people and he doesn't really have to worry, but it's also still a dangerous situation because you are going after a what are they, the smugglers, weapon dealers. So he kind of has to be somewhat attentive to who he's dealing with and how he's handling it, and the symbol and the mentioning of Tenet comes in handy. But that's where my partner said, I legit have no clue what was just said. And then we stopped the movie. I rigged a sound system I even EQ'd a bit from my speakers through an amp, EQ'd, plugged in headphones with a splitter, and then we watched the movie that way the rest of the night.
I think why a good portion of the movie I was confused because I honestly didn't understand how she fit into the whole story because I missed that conversation, and I was like, I don't understand how she fits in. Like, I get that she gave him information to go after someone, but then she knew, I don't know. I got confused.
And it didn't make more sense to me at the end either, because he says to her, I realized we were both working for me. Granted.
Yeah.
But then take her out. So then when did you hire her?
It is one thing in the movie that I'll have to rewatch that I didn't spend too much time on because I felt like other things were important. But you're right, there's still kind of a gap to me in terms of why she needed to be killed.
Well, I mean, I understood she needed to be killed because she was a threat. Toby, I think you yourself are the reason I understand this even more because you told me last week. Can I mention
for sure? Go ahead.
So from what I understand, this is a theory. It hasn't been proven, right? Everyone's saying
I just put it out there, and then I checked to see if everybody was. Some people were thinking the same, and I saw a couple of posts thinking the same.
So the theory is that Neil is the little boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I figured that. I thought that.
Neil is Max.
Yeah.
Who?
Max.
Okay.
Which boy?
That's the son of the woman that he's trying to get away from the Russian oligarch dude, Anglo-Russian arms dealer. Max is the son, and then if Max is the son and grows up to be Neil, because one of the things that Toby mentioned is where the man is from, the way you spell Maximilian ends with N-E-I, ends with L-I-E-N, and which is Neil.
You reverse that.
So the reason killing Priya makes sense is because if you kill Priya, because Priya is about to kill Max and the mother.
What's her name again? I forget.
No, sorry. I feel bad. I pulled it up, but if you kill Priya, you stop her from killing them, and Neil then gets into play. And then, as we know, Neil at the end of the movie, again, these are spoilers. We told you guys. We realize that Neil is who he is with the little disc on his bag with the red, the like cord with the little disc.
Yeah.
He's the guy that saves JD at the beginning of the film.
Yes.
So now that we know you need that kid to live to save you for this whole thing to start, because if not, you get killed in that opera house.
Neil didn't have to help John David save Kat as desperately as they tried to save her, right?
Yeah, I thought
there was no way for them to know she was a part of this in any way, aside from John David really, or the protagonist really trying to hold up his end of the bargain as this righteous dude who really always holds up his end of the bargain, because that's the only thing that you see as a viewer.
But but in the future, we know that the bad guy is dead, he would need his mom in order to live. So that's why they needed her to be alive.
Of course, but while you're watching it, for a lot of people who didn't catch that, you're seeing that Neil doesn't show any emotional attachment to Kat. He doesn't say anything. He's just helping the protagonist accomplish what he wants to accomplish without giving anything away. Absolutely. But that was also a way to throw you off, like he has no connection to her, period.
For sure. Because when I watched it and you told me your theory, I was just like, no, well, that doesn't make sense. This dude's mom is shot in front of him and he goes, cool. We should get her to the other side and hopefully she survives. Don't worry about it. We can heal her up on this little boat ride over the Oslo. "Oh, she seems to be healing up okay. You okay, lady? Cool. I'm gonna turn my back on you and act like I don't care." Meanwhile, inside he's just like, "Mama, don't die."
Right, exactly. And he knows things are happening the way they are because he knows how things are going to turn out. Because he's being told by the protagonist in the future that this is going to happen to this lady. You're going to help him you're going to help me do this. You're going to do this. Like, he knows, he's studied this his whole life, which is crazy to think.
Yeah. That's one thing that when I think about it, if that theory is accurate, and very much like the spinning top, I secretly hope Nolan never admits it. But if that theory is accurate, that makes this such an interesting story to tell because it's so much. It's so crazy. It makes perfect sense too. If the whole thing is like moving forward and backwards and all that stuff, then it really fits in. But it still throws you for a loop when you think about it.
But in regards to like how they do the time travel stuff, right? Because they did time travel through the reverse, right?
They didn't time travel. They inverted.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you. I understand what we mean because inverting is not time travel in the classic way we know it. And especially by the fact that there are multiple versions of you in a universe at any given time.
Exactly.
Which is proven by the scene at the airport in the Freeport.
Where there's like 4 is it 4? No, there's 3. You're right. There's 3,
yeah, and then his other self running away.
Yeah.
And Neil, again, another clue to who Neil is Neil letting him get away. Once he pulls the mask.
Why did he do that?
Because he knows who it is and he knows what the mission is.
Yeah, I knew that. Did you guys really question at that point whether or not that was?
No, right away I knew.
Right away, I'm like, okay, so did he unmask himself or did he unmask the protagonist? One of the two.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought. I was just like, he's either unmasked himself or he's unmasked the protagonist here because there's no other way. He just lets the person go when he's This guy's running away. It's just like,
actually, his reaction. Now that I think about it, his reaction to when he did that is actually someone who was like, "Holy shit! I forgot you told me to do something," and he was running back.
Yeah.
That was legit his reaction. That's what I thought. I'm like, so you're from the future and you fucked up and you need to not fuck up.
You know what I thought was cool? Because if you had a bunch of people inverted and regular going through the same time and space, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. But what I thought was cool that was added in this is that regular air doesn't go in through your lungs. So you can tell people are inverted because they need to have the oxygen mask on. I thought that was pretty cool.
I don't know if we're moving forward. Okay.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
If someone's wearing an oxygen mask on the other side because they need the oxygen mask and they need oxygen from an oxygen from a tank that was not inverted, when oxygen from a tank that's been inverted, right?
That is what it is.
Right. So when you go through the machine with the tank, it inverts the air back to normal air.
Like normal air.
Yeah, it inverts everything. Everything that goes through is inverted now.
Exactly. So your lungs are inverted, right? Once you go through. So regular air doesn't go through the same way. So you need to bring a tank in with you that also inverts at the same time as you.
The only reason I asked
Skinny's shaking his head like, what's going on?
You guys are not helping.
When he's at the airport and he runs out and he's wearing the suit and he has the tank at that point, in my head I was just like, wouldn't the air be a problem? But I was just like, I guess not, because it inverts with everything. Okay.
But one thing I don't get is that inverted time travel, whatever you want to call it, if Neil is from the future, which is what it seems to be, it seems that time passes roughly the same period of time. Like when they had to wait 3 days to get back to where they were. So
yes, Dave. Yes. Same page, dude.
Neil, hold on, I'm gonna need you to repeat that because I didn't catch some of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because Neil is from the future, right? Neil's from the future, right? Can we agree on that? When they invert time travel, whatever, backwards, they're still using the same amount of time, and you age, right? If Neil is like 35, he had to start this mission when he was like 15 because of his age.
Okay.
He would have had to go back in time. Is that how that would work?
I mean, we've seen
That's
that
what I did
sleeper
not
agents.
understand.
We've seen that happen in history.
Thank you. I agree with Dave though. The whole time, once you gave me your theory, my next question was, how long did Neil live in an inverted world so that he would be an adult by the time this whole mission came into play? Which to me seemed insane, that you had to live an inverted life with inverted oxygen tanks. Like, that seems crazy to me.
Or what if when you invert, instead, we think that they're getting that time is passing, but what if they're de-aging? And he's actually older, and then when he went back in time, he was actually like 40, but he became 20.
Yeah, I don't know if the movie didn't go that deep into it. I didn't think that deep into it either.
The movie does hint at the idea that you heal in reverse, because remember when the protagonist is at the airport, he starts to all of a sudden feel a pain. He keeps feeling it, and then
that's the same reason why they needed to take Kat back into the inverted machine, is to heal her backwards.
Yeah, is that why? Because I didn't understand why they were bringing her back.
Yeah,
so it's that her. Okay.
Yeah,
it was because her body would reject
Yeah,
but then when she moves forward again, it doesn't come back.
She didn't move. Did she
go back? State?
No, because she not go far enough back that it leaves your body. When you go forward again, as long as you don't get in contact with, if you're not shot again, you'll be fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
okay,
it's hard to explain. This movie's hard.
Well, I can explain it. So you're always moving forward, right? So even in the sense where she's healing backwards in as we perceive it, remember the doctor talking to the protagonist explains that's how we understand time, but that's not necessarily how this is happening. And I think that applies to how the body is. Just be like you're as we understand, you're
perceiving it.
Yeah, you're still constantly moving forward. So she's shot with an inverted bullet. She gets brought to the other side. She heals, but she's still moving forward. When she gets flipped back, that's still a forward progression for her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I remember there's a key piece of the bullet that we're forgetting, is that it's radioactive. The reason it needed to go back was because the radiation poisoning was the main issue, not the bullet damage. So if you take her backwards in time, same as the bullet, it prevents the radiation, and then she can heal normally. It was the radiation that was killing her.
Complicated as fuck.
Yeah, man.
It is, Mike, and you might have to see this like 3 or 4 times to get it. But that's why the bullet. So it wasn't because you needed the bullet to travel back or anything. It was the radiation was building. So if you travel back in time, the radiation can be prevented, right?
Yeah.
And then she can heal fully from the bullet.
But like travel back in time, she is still in her life moving forwards. But the radiation
But the radiation, once you invert, now is going backwards.
Yes.
Right?
That's
Because she was hit with it in the regular. Okay, she was hit with an inverted bullet in regular time. So now the radiation is inside of her inverted while she's moving regular. But if she takes her regular body to the inverted world, now the radiation is regular and will go back the way it came. It's science. It's science, guys.
I mean, it's very basic.
Yeah, just a basic fucking story plot. This is so funny.
No,
I've heard.
Did you guys see the plot hole?
There are.
I don't know.
Did you guys catch the plot hole?
I don't know if we're trying to move like chronologically through this.
Let's try to include Sador in this, because we didn't really touch on the villain much yet.
Okay, because I got some more questions, man. I got a lot.
You know what? Go ahead with your questions first.
But this might be too far ahead. But like that whole scene, the glass scene,
where the one side was inverted, one side was regular, right?
The fuck? Because
so this was our first intro to Sador's privately owned turnstiles.
Yeah.
Right. Sador was trying to. So the protagonist was figuring things out, but Sador, we know that an organization in the future is the one feeding Sador this information.
Yeah.
Right. So every single time the protagonist goes to fix something, it changes their future. So they know to go back in time and tell Sador, hey, he's gonna do this thing. You need to go invert and stop him from doing it. So the secret organization in the future, I don't think we ever really got any news on who they were, but I think Priya is part of that organization.
I think it's also Tenet.
It's possible. But I think tying Priya to that,
Tenet doing that because the opposite of being able to create everything, they need to have their opposite selves, which is their exact. Like it's the same organization. It's them having to be inverting of themselves. So they have to cause in order to create what they need to create the problem to fix it.
see, I don't think it's Tenet. I think Tenet was always intended to stop this future. So I think the people in the okay, let me restart. I think that organization in the future might have succeeded at some point. So Tenet was actually created to go back and stop them from succeeding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense in the same sense of how the other team had to fail. The regular team had to fail so that the inverted team could
succeed.
To succeed in the end battle.
Exactly.
Toby, in that statement, why would Priya be part of the other team though? Because
I don't know. I was trying to tie her in. I didn't really think that one through yet.
Wow.
It was a theory, guys. I don't know.
I was just trying to throw her in there. She actually, you're right. She doesn't make as much sense to me as potentially Max being Neil, because that's the only thing that explains his appearance. But then, I might be completely wrong on my Neil theory because we get Aaron Taylor Johnson's character who comes out of nowhere too, and all of a sudden he's as crucial to the plot and the movie as Neil and the protagonists were. Because without him, the protagonist would never be there in that last 10-minute sequence, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering who sent him. Is he Max? Like who sent? Because he kind of has the same accent too, right? As the wife. So did he come? Like I still don't know where he fits in to this as much as I don't know Priya's sort of stake in this as well.
Do you think he's going to make this a trilogy?
How could you?
No.
I mean, you could easily continue into the future or even go into the past at this point.
I don't think Nolan likes to make. The only reason he did the Batman is because those Batman movies needed to be a trilogy. But he like Inception, Interstellar,
Memento.
Memento.
What's so funny about him is that he's said multiple times that he doesn't like writing. Well, no fucking duh. When you're making crazy fucking...
When you call your main character the protagonist.
Like when you're making such like complicated stories, I can only imagine the headache he caused himself. But they're great. But like...
I said, I don't know how he wrote this movie.
I don't understand.
How do you even start to write a movie like this?
I don't understand.
It's insane.
Planet.
Take a lot of edibles and then you on.
I don't doubt it. He looks like someone who's experimented and dabbled. Definitely.
For sure.
Do we really care to talk about Sador and his hold on Kat and why the protagonist needed to get her involved at all or anything like that?
Can we just go back 2 seconds again? Yeah. So again, that scene where I don't remember if it was an interrogation, but they're behind the glass and they see themselves, and then there's a whole bullet through the glass thing or whatever. Yeah. What is trying to be like? What is the objective there? Because I was so confused about. I know it was about getting information, but how? Like, what was happening?
You're talking about when they first go to the machine for the first time?
It was when, man, I don't remember, like...
Okay, so they went on the whole car chase on the highway situation, right?
Yeah.
That scene. So the protagonist is going on his mission. He's going to secure the algorithm because they know where it is. They know who's at, like, they're trying to get it. So they succeed. But again, like I said, Sador is always 1 or 2 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So he knows now that they've succeeded 10 minutes ago. So what he's done while they're on the mission is going back to catch up with them in real time. right? To secure and save the algorithm. But he couldn't, so he grabbed Kat instead, brought her back with him to the it gets a little confusing.
Yeah,
it definitely gets confusing. But what he was really trying to do was just to get
I get that.
Yeah,
like he was trying to get. Okay,
that's
all
it.
right.
I find
Cool. I'll take it.
Let me give a choice, really.
Yeah, you can't like once you start thinking too much about these plot points, you start to, that's what he wants. He wants you to get lost because there's a lot of surface level stuff, and I think if you hang on to the surface, you'll be fine. You won't get lost in the weeds too much. Yeah.
The best advice I got watching this movie is actually given by Toby, who was just like, just don't try and solve it. And I feel like I solved it naturally by just not focusing.
Like going
not solved it, but I was like, I feel like if I was focusing so hard to understand, without just letting my mind wander, it would have been harder to understand. Whereas that like, because I was with two friends. Well, I mean, I was with my girlfriend and my friend, and there were several times I'd look at them and they'd be like, look at me like,
yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like,
because there's so many
like
so many red herrings, kind of like in this movie. So many things thrown in your way to throw you off, and if you get caught up catching on to every single one, you'll get lost. You just gotta let it play out. You have to, otherwise you will get lost.
I just gotta say though, from a film criticism perspective, that does not serve him or his movie. Like what is the point of alienating the audience so intensely?
He does this, right?
So it causes conversations like this, and people forever talk about it. People be like, "I don't understand how you guys don't get this movie. Let me go see it." And then this person's confused, and they gotta the same. I felt it was the same way with Inception, right? Inception is nowhere near as complicated as this movie, but I think a lot of Inception's like popularity came from people trying to figure out and put pieces together and talking with their friends and all those things.
I actually think Interstellar is on the same level of complication as this.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
It's like, to make it watchable.
It's definitely Tenet, Interstellar, Inception for me in terms of level of complicated. That was a wild ride. This whole movie.
I found it weird that he mentions in the movie, "Oh, be careful how you use tenant," and he only essentially uses the word once.
He does only use it once. So I don't think that was necessary.
That was just useless information.
That whole like putting your finger together and saying the word tenant, that part. It never came in handy really, so except for when he talked to Priya.
What?
Yeah, after the mission in the opera house.
Yeah.
When that guy was explaining to him that he was in a coma, and blah blah blah, and like he's like, listen, for your next mission, the only things you need to know is that this finger action where your fingers link and the word tenant will get you out of a dangerous situation. So, or sorry, could open the right or the wrong doors, I think is what he said. But it never really was never really a real plot device.
Yeah.
I just think if you said the word, I think that the only warning with that was that you'll tip people off that you know about it, and if you know about it and you're on the wrong side, you could potentially get killed. That's the only logical thought about it. I'm like, why waste time?
We just have to think about this as this whole movie takes place in a world where the future declared war on the present because it's upset about climate change. Legit. That's legit the main basis of this movie. The reason why people are going back in time or inverting is because the future is mad at us right now in the present for climate change. And they're using someone, Sador, who has nothing to live for. As we know, he's dying of pancreatic cancer and he's pretty much going to die. So he has nothing else to live for aside for controlling his wife. And because at some point she fell out of love with him. And by the way, the reason he goes back to that point in time in Vietnam is because that was the last place and the last time she was ever like really in love with him. Right. So when that part came up, and that's why she was overly excessively all over him, because that's how he remembers her at that time. I think Kenneth Branagh did something in this movie with that villain role that I haven't seen. This was our Black Bond movie. the way I see it. He was a perfect Bond villain, and John David Washington was basically Bond in this movie.
Essentially,
That's a very fair statement. That he's a Bond villain is like he was like and the movie even starts off like a Bond movie.
Yeah.
Funny enough, this is the Bond movie that we didn't get. The one that got pushed back. This was essentially our Bond movie.
100%. It felt very much like that.
If you were willing to take a plunge on a Bond film and throw in sci-fi in this way, where there's like someone has invented a technology that allows inversion, Nolan just made a Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
I find it funny because oh shit.
What's happening? Dave
sideways again.
That was great. It's like,
shit. Shit.
Here
we go again.
Was Michael Caine? Was Michael Caine needed? I mean, I know he puts Michael Caine in pretty much all of his movies.
Yeah.
Was Michael Caine needed?
Just for the comedic point of saying we don't own snobbery, but we have the most like time put in or something. That scene was just for him to make the joke about like, you know, if you're gonna pretend to be a billionaire, you have to do better than Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, I guess his clothing, and I guess it was kind of to tell him how to get to Sador was through his wife. I guess that was his only reason there. And you know what? The clothing thing was another clue to Neil for me, because he went to see Michael Caine's character who busted out on his clothes like, bro, change your clothing because you're never going to get in these circles if you don't look right. Then he overdoes it and wears like the most expensive suit, but doesn't act like a billionaire. The wife and Cat catches it right away and goes, hey, your clothes might save money, but the way you act doesn't really speak money. But that was never said about Neil. Neil always dressed to the like he always knew how to dress in those situations, which leads me to believe
Neil knew how to do that because he's the son of Sador, like you said.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like all these little things here and there in the movie clued me into like Neil's potential. What's it called? Him being Max, pretty much.
Yeah.
Question. So the whole deal with the painting, right, was to get to her husband, right?
Well, the painting was to get. No,
No?
the painting was to steal the painting so that the husband didn't have a hold on Kat anymore.
Oh yeah, to have a hold on Kat anymore.
Yeah,
okay.
because she sold him a fake painting, and that's what he has on her because she'll do prison time, and he'll take her son from her.
Okay, but his whole goal was to get close to him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why? And in the end, what they did was basically she literally just introduced him as her friend.
Exactly, and her part of the deal. The only way she would do it was when he's like, "Hey,"
if he would, get that whole.
I gotta ask you guys. Some of the stuff that I've heard, people were saying that there was no chemistry between the protagonist and you know what? I'm gonna look up her name, but they were saying there's no chemistry between those characters as to explain why the protagonist cares so much about her.
There is a tie. You're right, but I think we're led to believe this is a man of honor.
Yeah,
right from the beginning with the cyanide pill and him not snitching. Right, we're meant to believe this is someone who will stick to his word no matter what. That's it.
I'll one up that. I think the whole thing is about the fact that early on, again, the first scene with that scientist explaining stuff, he had the natural instinct of knowing he needed to protect her because of how the timeline plays out.
Maybe
it wasn't I don't think there was because some people were telling me that it's supposed to be a romantic triangle between Sador, the protagonist, and Kat, and I was just like, that was not romantic triangle.
There was no romance. I actually was genuinely happy that there was no romance.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. I just thought of them as, you know what they looked like? They looked like a mod squad. You know, you guys remember Mod Squad?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it looked like a British take on the Mod Squad, where you just got these three friends. They're hanging out. They're criminals, but doing bullshit. Let's party. And I
can't believe you bring up Mod Squad. Though. That's a 70s reference, bro.
Oh yeah, I own the movie.
Wow.
Giovanni
Jeez,
Ribisi-
the black guy, the white blonde girl, and the white guy.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Legit, man. When I watched
Yeah,
it
yeah.
at the end, and my friend was telling me like, "Oh yeah, man." So people were saying there's no chemistry in the love triangle, and I was like, "What love triangle?" He's just like, "Is there not a love triangle?" And I was like, "If people think that there's supposed to be a romantic connection between those characters, I would see why they're disappointed because I never saw a romantic connection. I just saw those characters being themselves. That was it. They were just." I mean, Mod Squad, there was a romantic story behind those two, whatever, but this didn't feel like there was romance there. I really felt like I was just watching friends try and work together, especially when you mentioned that Homeboy is the son and he's like holding in his emotions. It definitely
Allegedly.
looks like, yeah, like,
Allegedly. I think what confused people, honestly, I think people were kind of following things. A few things might drop here and there, but I think that last sequence where it was like the temporal pincer movement,
yeah,
or like Sador sent half his team forward in time and half his team backwards in time just so they could meet at one point. So then the protagonist had this whole troop of soldiers sent from the future, apparently, with Aaron Taylor Johnson leading them, and they also wanted to use the same tactics to make sure it was that part. For me, it took me a moment to understand what was happening.
Yeah, can you explain that? Because that last ending scene with that whole shootout and stuff, I was like, you know what? I have no idea what's happening.
That scene I actually feel wasn't as complicated as people initially thought. You have the red team that went in and they're moving forward. You have a blue team that's been inverted. And they're
also, by the way, timeout. If you rewatch the movie again, you'll notice he uses blue and red always to differentiate who's forward, who's backwards. If they're wearing red, that means they're and if they're wearing blue, like it's always present.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, even the color, yeah, even the lighting.
Yep.
Yeah.
The lighting, the cat when she's wearing red, she's forward, but it's the end. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
I feel like the red team is going in. You have Ives who knows what's up. He tells people what their mission is. They're going in forward. You have the blue team working in inverted. They know what's up. They're doing their mission. I think the most telling part is they actually, although they technically don't know what's about to happen, they have inklings because I don't know if you guys notice, but the blue team, when they're offloading from the helicopter, they're carrying someone on a stretcher.
Yeah.
Meaning that person is inverted and at some point possibly collapsed. They put them on a stretcher, brought them in that helicopter, knowing that soldier gets injured, but is still needed for the first part. So inverted wise, he's going to get better as the mission goes along.
Right.
Like he needs to be there specifically to get better. If not, he wouldn't have collapsed at all. And that's one of those things that the movie plays on the whole idea of like instinct. There's certain things that instinctually kind of just have to happen. They're going to just play out that way.
Well, they also give that part of it away to you. When you're inverted, it's instinct, right? Remember what she said, you have to have dropped it. So everything has to have happened on instinct. So as you're moving, you have to just go with whatever feels right. It's kind of like just move with whatever feels right. It's crazy.
One thing that was a little weird that kind of threw me off because, like, while they're explaining the mission, right, they're saying red team needs to fail so that the blue team could win, could finish the mission.
Right.
But assuming that the bad guy knows because I forget his name every time.
Sador.
If he knows that this is how it works, why doesn't he just let the red team win? Because
he doesn't know.
He doesn't know what's
technically by the future, him getting messages from the future, he should know. No,
because the future only knows what's happened, right? But the things, the temporal pincer movement and Tenet being created and coming in and foiling their plans, I don't know if they can catch it at this. I don't know. It gets a little more complicated there. You're right.
Technically, he could just be like, okay, cool. Well, like if they're like, if red team needs to go through this door so that the blue team, the red team has to go through this door so that the blue team could win, then you would stop them from going through the red door. But if
if in order to like if you're like, well, this team has to fail, then why don't you let that team win so that the other side doesn't fuck you? It's so complicated.
I mean, I think one of the things that's important is there's like a temporal moment. That whole idea of him dropping the bomb feels like one of those. I mean, we've all watched sci-fi movies. There's always that blinding spot, right? There's always that thing where, like, oh, we can't see past this point. And that I feel like they couldn't see past that point because that point was their undoing. I think I don't know if we're supposed to know that or understand that, but it's
I
just
think
it's
that's
much
what-
like
yeah.
the ancient one, how the ancient one how the ancient one says in Doctor Strange, I can't see past my death. I've seen all these potentials, I've seen this, that, and the other thing, but I know that this is where I die because I can't see past this moment. I feel like that's what it was. Because Dave, you're right. If they have a vision from the future and they've been managing all this stuff in the future, why all of a sudden they can't tell that this team is about to come in and screw things up for them?
But you know, one thing that did make me chuckle during the movie, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who got this, the mini reference to Time Cop. Like, you can't touch yourself. Swear to God, I started laughing out loud in the movie theater. Like, really?
I don't
You're gonna do this?
I guess the whole
credit
point.
for you can't touch yourself in the past, though.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the entire plot of the movie in itself then is a pincer movement, right? Because he knows the end, but he also knows the beginning. So he's sending people to the beginning to make sure that they meet at the point where he learns that he's the creator of Tenet to save the world. But by saving the world, though, it closes the loop because the future that he's from didn't succeed, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, one would assume that him creating Tenet, he knows he succeeds by making Tenet. That's why he's doing it. No,
guys, we're not going to figure this out.
Yeah, that's the whole thing being like responsible.
Like all the red lines and everything.
I think him being responsible is the most confusing thing, man.
Sorry, Brandon, what?
I'm just saying him being the reason why Tenet exists, or him being is what like opens the door up for a huge paradox, which I don't understand. Like, anyway,
it's chicken before the egg.
Akil G, I was gonna ask you because when we had talked about, you had a whole bunch of stuff to save. Hit us, man.
I'm just here kind of trying to learn because I didn't understand it, and I was a little frustrated by how complex the movie was because, you know, my attitude is, you know, I'm coming for, you know, to chill Friday night, long week of work. I don't want to use my brain, so I went for like the action, the sci-fi, and then my mind is being melted by all these red herrings and plot twists, and so I'm just kind of listening to figure it out, but. Yeah, my beef is mostly that it was just too much going on, and I didn't want to have to do work to figure out the puzzle. I enjoy doing it here and now, later, like a week or two later. But while I'm trying to get my entertainment in, no.
You definitely have to go into that movie with like the intention to work, because that's what it was.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it in a bad way. It's just you're going in and you can't just go in to enjoy a movie. But I knew, even from watching the trailer, I just knew, I was like, I don't understand how this is going to work. And I know I'm going to get a headache. And even preparing myself, at the end, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't. People asked me, did you enjoy it? And I said, I don't know. Like, I don't. But I enjoy being confused as hell. Like, I love movies. I loved Inception. I loved Interstellar. This was, to me, was on another level, and I don't know.
Yeah, it starts to get sort of mind melding when you start to think about who created Tenet, and then you start asking yourself, why go through all this just to get to an ending you already know?
That's what confuses me.
Mike K. Paradoxes are the best part of time travel. Yeah, man. I'm down with that. I think that is one of the most fun parts of time travel stories, that we never fully understand who's doing what, where, and why. And I'm okay with that. Guys, we got to get to geek news and rumors. But we got another break real quick. That's Canon's going to be start filming, start recording new episodes. You guys can go check out some of our episodes right on franklinarmstrong.com.
This is ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, I just said what I said. My tone and delivery may have been a little bit different, but it's because I want to emphasize the importance.
Oh, okay.
God, and I was laughing.
That was Doc.
No, it's not.
Great argument.
Oh, God.
Dave, I'll give you a 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's great.
Dun, dun, dun.
You guys check out the episodes, all of them available, franklinarmstrong.com. You can also check out That's Canon podcast. Just look for it on any streaming podcast platform. But yeah, we got some geek news and rumors, kids. The first one is pretty sad. Venture Brothers canceled.
Does anybody still watch that stuff?
I love that show. I'm so upset.
It was a good show. The only thing I don't understand about them saying it's canceled is, and I thought this was pretty funny, is that Adult Swim tweeted at them saying, "We love the show too, and we want more episodes." And I was just like, "Didn't y'all cancel it?" I don't like. It was really weird. There was they tweeted the guy Jackson Public, I think is the pen name that he used. He tweeted that the show's been canceled and they've known for a couple of months. But then Adult Swim tweeted support for the show and saying how it's sad that it's canceled. And I didn't understand because I was just like, but isn't the show on Adult Swim? And wouldn't they be the ones to decide if it's not canceled? That would seem like a weird thing. So I don't know. This one, I know I usually wouldn't announce this, but I was so happy when I heard Keeping Up with the Kardashians is done too, coming to an end.
Yes.
And I wanted to celebrate when I heard that.
Right? I didn't even know it was still going.
Yeah, that, I'm sure there's some people out there.
How many seasons of that trash is there?
Too many. I think that. I remember because my partner said I told her there've been 20 seasons, and she said that's 20 too many. And
20. Has there really been 20 seasons?
They've done 20
Are
seasons.
They even
of it.
that old?
What?
I mean, the implants are.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Was that wrong?
Hey, man.
Yeah, too soon.
What's wrong?
Wait, are we supposed to pretend like they don't have implant? I'm not judging the implant.
We're not. But we're not shaming people. We're not doing that.
I didn't shame anyone.
There was no shaming.
Shame. There was shame, but there was no shame.
I said the show has been on for 20 years, and the implants might be as old as the show.
Is it 20 years?
20 seasons. Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say what?
No, 20 seasons.
20 seasons in what, like 10 years?
Who knows?
Something like that.
Too many years.
That's crazy.
Too many years for a show that none of y'all have watched. What are you talking about?
No. Skinny, pause.
You seem real defensive there, Skinny.
He watches.
Kardashians, don't you, Skinny?
I haven't even watched the show, but I'm not shitting on something I haven't watched.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lie. You watch it. You watch it.
I've watched episodes. That's
I'll
why I'm
give you
shitting.
that, Brian. Dave, where are you coming from?
I don't like
her. You guys know I'll only shit on something if I've watched it. That was my rule.
Right?
Let's put it this way. I watched a commercial. That was good enough.
So shush. You goddamn Karen of TV.
But other
so defensive.
I mean, this isn't a cancellation, but Walking Dead to end after season 11. But they're looking at doing a Daryl and Carol spinoff series set for AMC. At which point in my head, I'm like, why cancel the show? If you're going to do a spinoff with lead characters, why are you canceling the show?
Weren't they going to do movies with Rick? So now they're canceling the show and doing Daryl and Carol?
Yeah, Daryl and Carol.
Too long.
Man, they just need to make that a sitcom, though. Don't even go just a full
complete. Oh,
would
there
watch it
goes
with a
those
comedy.
damn zombies.
I'd be down the fact.
That'd be amazing. With like
I
a
would-
laugh track, I
Yeah.
would love it. Oh my god.
Carol like
That'd be
stabs the
great.
zombie in the neck and then looks into the camera and goes,
Thank you. Those damn zombies.
Yeah, the show should have ended like 3-4 seasons ago.
yeah.
Oh man!
But yeah,
They-
much
I'm
to
still-
just killing main
Skinny's
characters for no reason.
But Skinny's right. It doesn't make sense for them to say they're going to have Rick do a movie that you know, and they've done so much with the series, and now before Rick's movie can even be produced and released, you're gonna the universe his movie would have been tied to is gonna be now connected in the spinoff.
Well,
And
I mean,
again,
his
why can't-
movies were supposed to happen in between when he left the show and then the current history, so it wouldn't matter. If, I from my understanding, that's how it's supposed to be. So you could make them easily.
They ended
What about the
comic
other?
book, right?
What?
The
They
comic
ended
book
the
is the comic book done? I think the comic book's
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah,
The
the
comic
comic book's
book
been
is
done
done.
for a year and a half or so.
So they could knock that out in a season.
Okay.
Wrap it up, B.
Yeah, true. I think
I actually
I
kind of
feel like
started
the zombie
liking
thing's
Fear
done.
the Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that
Yeah.
reference.
But you're right. It is the
Yeah,
like
zombie
that.
thing.
I
is
like
kind
that
of
reference.
And then last bit of news, and I think this one's pretty cool because we talked about it before. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air drama series reboot gets 2-season order over at the Peacock, which is NBC Universal streaming
Yep.
app. So we're going to be seeing that probably in 2021, 2022 time era first season.
Props
Big
to
things,
that kid. Props to that kid, man.
That's dope.
Hey,
Cobra
it's crazy. I mean,
And now this, he's just making money hand over fist, man.
yeah. But that trailer, I rewatched it yesterday again, and it's incredible.
Oh, that's
like
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
They must have I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They must have money to do that because it looks way too clean and like way too good. And I was like, you can't make that shit without money, man. And their locations and like the mansion that they're in, and it looks like that could have been the trailer for the show, and it'd be like, wow, okay.
But what it's supposed to be.
It's a dramatic like
retelling.
Retelling of Fresh Prince. It's gonna be like a dramedy for sure.
Yeah,
It fits more with the tone of today and how we like to
Yeah.
consume like TV.
Yeah.
Sitcoms don't work anymore,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
the original one, if you think about it, with how they even covered issues, there was a certain it was a comedy drama because they did cover issues. If they just flipped,
But it
the
had a laugh
percentage-
track and a live audience at times.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
But I'm saying you could flip if let's say in the original one it was 70% comedy, 30% drama, flip those percentages a little bit to give it a bit of satire.
Again,
But, yeah.
no matter what they're going to do now, there's still going to be somewhat slight comedic elements to,
For sure.
Will narking on, kind of
Mhm.
teasing Carlton. Like those things are still going to be there because that
Yeah.
kind of classism and the way the school and the jealousy and all those things are still going to be there. But some of these things that I think about at the end of the day, what was the other thing that I was talking about once that I was just like, if you strip away all the comedic stuff, it is actually really dark. But
Yeah.
Fresh
A lot of comedies.
yeah, if you strip away the jokes, the show I was talking about was Central Park, that one on the Apple streaming app. If you strip away the comedy aspect to it, it's about a family that the dad works in the park. Then you have this lady who's bribing the mayor to try and destroy Central Park and uproot everyone that lives there because she wants to put high rises. And that, it seems like a comedy if you have people singing, but if you think about what that means, it's like corporate, corporate bribery. There's a whole bunch of illegal things they do. They block people. She bribes people. There's tons of things being done that's illegal. But hey, we're singing and Josh Gad's doing his silly little dance while he's an animated character. So it's cool. But in the real world, that stuff's a lot darker. And
Yeah.
That's
For
what
sure.
A lot of comedies to laugh to keep from crying anyway. So, you just you make it darker. It's just a cry fest.
It's
Exactly. That's why I love comedy, man. You can laugh at the things that are real and that hurt us, or that you can find the humor in the stupidity or the way we choose to live as humans sometimes.
Yeah,
that's why comedies exist.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to see Jazz thrown out of the house for real though.
They better have some. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but some homage to that. Just something. I don't know what would. If he just trips, I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's gotta be something.
Yeah, there will be.
He's not a flailing dummy out the fucking door.
Yeah,
Quick side note: Did you guys anybody see Mulan yet?
Nope.
Yeah,
you watched it. You liked it?
It was okay. I mean, it's
there was a lot of like, obviously, I think people were expecting sing-songy Disney Beauty and the Beast style stuff.
Yeah.
But it was more Crouching Tiger.
Though, so that's the one thing I'm.
It's because of the main actress's stance on Hong Kong.
No, not just that. They filmed the movie in the area where they're keeping the Muslims, the
Uyghur.
Yeah, Uyghur in camps. They filmed the whole movie in that area. So now people are even more upset. Like, it was bad enough when she said that stuff supporting, but now people are finding that out and they're just like, no, that's too. So people really.
All right, well then make him hurt where it hurts.
Yeah, I mean it already is. The movie's not making as much money. It's been hit.
It is the reason they didn't have Mushu in.
Yeah, why'd they pick this movie to mess with it?
Huh?
Why'd they pick this movie to mess with the formula?
Well, here's why. Because a lot of the ideas in Mulan are dated. Two, it could be seen as really culture insensitive.
Right?
Yeah. So you kind of want to bring quote unquote honor to the culture without going into the extreme stereotypes. And Mushu.
But that's what I heard was like, right. So dragons are held really sacred in China, I think, and they didn't want to lose out on that market, so they decided to take out Mushu from that. But they have some random ass phoenix.
Yeah. But the phoenix is just Mushu and doesn't talk. That's the same.
Yeah.
Like the phoenix, like even at the end when the phoenix does the whole wings behind, and I was just like, that is cheesy shit. But I was like, oh, I guess whatever.
But I thought it was cool for a female heroine movie, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. And like you said, the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons type stuff was great.
100%. You had the cast in there too. And Jet Li randomly.
Yeah. I only realized that like later on, like one of the last shots, I was like, "Is that Jet Li?"
When he's hung up on the cross.
That's when I realized.
I noticed it before, but it was clear there that
it was. I was like, "Oh my god!"
And
Jason
Scott Lee is in it. The guy who played Bruce Lee in the Double in the Dragon.
Oh, is he?
That's him. That's the guy who played Bruce Lee in the what was the big movie? The like story of Bruce Lee that came out.
Dragon, the story of Bruce Lee,
something like that. But that's Jason Scott Lee. Yeah. So he plays the. Why did they not call them the Mongrels? Why did they call them the?
It's supposed to be the Huns, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, but the Huns were a real.
Is that it? Is that culturally inappropriate?
Probably.
Hey, Mulan is a historic poem. Like, it's not like the story wasn't fictional. It was a poem about the things that actually happened. I don't see, but again, I am not an Asian American, so I should shush my mouth before I start getting canceled by a couple billion people on this planet. Hi guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Hun would be racially insensitive.
I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Can you ask the people in that part of the world what the vibe is?
Can you just yell out the window?
Hey, we're
well, Vietnam's relationship with China not that great, so I don't think they'll have much good to say either.
Oh God, guys, we are on 2 hours. We got to wrap this up.
Okay.
Anything you guys want to tell people? Anything?
One thing we found out today is that the more you try to explain Tenet, the more complicated it gets.
Yeah.
You just got to take what you know and accept that, and that's
you did clear up a lot of little moments.
I'm sure, but I'm sure there's still questions that I have as well.
A lot of little moments.
There were a ton of those.
Yeah.
And just remember, we only asked half the questions we're thinking.
Yo.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's pretty much it. We'll be back with another one next week. We have a whole bunch of shows to talk about. The Boys is back, so we'll have a couple episodes of that to discuss. And yeah, usual craziness, geektastic. Make sure to check all things Franklin Armstrong on the Franklin Armstrong Collective on our Facebook. Follow us on Instagram at @AStrongFranklin, and check out our website, franklinarmstrong.com. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. If you guys are watching this on Facebook, make sure you like. And that's it, guys. We're out. Peace, everybody.
I feel like we missed an opportunity to go good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah, for real. Good morning, Vietnam.